From Washington, the McLaughlin Group, the American original. For over 2 decades, the sharpest minds, best sources, hardest talk. The McLaughlin Group is brought to you by MetLife. Guarantees for the if in life.
Issue 1, Hillary's Derby win.
It's not just Kentucky bluegrass that's music to my ears. It's the sound of your overwhelming vote of confidence, even in the face of some pretty tough odds.
Overwhelming is right. Hillary's 35% margin landslide in Kentucky this week was a blowout. Hillary 65%, Barack 30%. Exit polls tell us where Hillary's vote came from. Rural, Hillary 77%, Barack 19%. Uneducated, Hillary 70%, Barack 25%. Educated, Hillary 56%, Barack 40%. Whites, Hillary 72%, Barack 23%.
Question, what kind of warning bells should be going off for Democrats, Pat Buchanan?
Hillary's winning the Scotch-Irish of Appalachia in huge landslides, John, and that group goes all the way from Pennsylvania down to Alabama. What it tells Barack Obama is, who got beat by 41 in West Virginia, 35 there, he maybe have to write off West Virginia and Kentucky, but he has got to get to work in Pennsylvania and Ohio and these other places to get rid of this exotic image and to reintroduce himself as something of a man of the people, or he could lose this particular election. It tells him a second thing. He is going to face a drive to put Hillary Rodham Clinton, whose huge coalition is as large as his and complements his, to put her on the ticket.
Is it all the more important because Kentucky is a swing state?
Well, West Virginia is a swing state. Kentucky tends a little more to be red, but Bill Clinton won both of them.
Is Kentucky sometimes a blue state?
Yeah, Bill Clinton won both of them in the 1990s.
So it's a swing state, it's a blue state sometimes, and it's a red state sometimes.
That would be a swing state.
Right. Definitely. Hello.
It shows that Barack Obama has work to do to get rid of that exotic image, as Pat demonstrated with a little body language there.
That was cute.
Yeah, it was cute. But the point is, once there is a one-on-one contest with John McCain, and the issues are raised, and the voters see the difference chiefly on the economy, frankly, but on health care and on the war, these voters are going to come home. John Kerry won 86% of Democrats in 04, and he was this windsurfing, cheese steaks, Swiss cheese, or whatever he did, ordering the wrong kind of cheese in Philadelphia. So he didn't have the common man image. Barack Obama is going to do okay. He's not going to win Appalachia, but we have such a polarized electorate now, and activists in primaries do not cross over to the other party. They may say that now out of anger, but very few did in 2000 and 2004. It's not like the old days when Jimmy Carter won 30% of Republicans and Ronald Reagan created a class of Reagan Democrats. I don't think there's that kind of crossover party.
I think we all feel better now, don't we? Okay, well, Barack's 18% margin, Oregon win.
Barack's victory was not a blowout, but he did win Oregon overwhelmingly, 59% to 41%. Exit polls tell us who Barack fared best among. College educated, Barack 61%, Hillary 39%. Non-religious, Barack 59%, Hillary 41%. Males, Barack 66%, Hillary 33%.
Question, why did Obama do so much better among Democrats in Oregon than among Democrats in Kentucky? I ask you, Monica.
Well, because demographically, Oregon is much more suited to the kinds of constituencies that Barack Obama is bringing in, the constituencies you just laid out there. The problem for Barack Obama, and I think the problem for the Democratic Party, is that that his reach is a lot more narrow. than people thought, and people at the beginning expected that he would be able to reach into all of these parts of the country and pull out victories. The fact that he has not been able to behead Marie Antoinette once and for all and dispatch her when he is the presumed nominee, and this is the midnight hour of this race, the fact that Hillary Clinton is still creaming him by 41 points in West Virginia, 35 points in Kentucky, states that the Democrats are going to need in November. That tells me that Barack Obama is a lot more vulnerable than even the Democrats want to admit.
So the popular vote is very important, is
yes,
it not?
and I think that that's what she is counting on with her effort to include Florida and Michigan, that she's going to say, look, he might have the pledge delegate vote. I'm going to wrap up the popular vote, and then what do you do?
What?
Well, first place, I just want to tell you how thrilled I am to be on this set when Eleanor called Pat cute. That's a day for me that I'm going to remember.
John called Pat
No, no, you, I heard you say it,
affirmed
Eleanor.
it.
She echoed it. Look, I think there is no question but that Barack Obama has problems with major Democratic constituencies. We see it in every one of these states, and it's just going to continue. How he reaches out to them and connects with them is going to be the challenge of his campaign. The advantage that he's going to have going forward, besides what Eleanor says, which is right, is I do believe that the economy is going to continue to weaken, and that will make that the #1 issue. And John McCain still does not have traction on that issue. Neither, by the way, does Obama, but he's got a much better chance because people tend to blame Obama. Because the people blame the incumbent government when the economy is as bad as it is and is going to be.
But Obama's got a problem facing Clinton on this very issue of the economy. Why? Why?
Well, because she somehow or other has managed to connect on the bread and butter issues with a degree of specificity.
Why?
Because he seems to be removed from them.
No, more than that, Mort. He's a liberal. He's the ultra-liberal. He's the #1 liberal in the United States Senate.
John,
American people don't want a liberal.
John,
it's cultural. Let him finish.
On economic issues, the Democrats want a liberal. That is to say, somebody who's going to help them through this.
Who wins the popular election? The liberals in this country or the conservatives? Particularly in times like these.
We're now talking. She is winning in the Democratic primaries with the voters who are very sensitive to the economy. In every one where the economy is the #1 issue, she does overwhelmingly better.
But you were a superdelegate deciding this, and you had to estimate who's going to get the popular vote. Not who's going to get the delegate vote. He's got the delegate vote.
Yes.
Who's going to get the popular vote? Who's going to get the popular vote?
I think she is going to eke out a popular vote victory if you include Florida and Michigan.
Let's talk about that. Florida, Michigan, shut out.
Thank you, Florida Democrats.
Florida and Michigan have become indispensable to Hillary Clinton's effort to propel her candidacy. Both states jumped ahead on the primary calendar in January, and in so doing violated party rules. As punishment, the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, stripped them of their delegates and left them shut out from the primary process. This week, Mrs. Clinton said that she would encourage those states if they had to bring their fight all the way to the August convention in Denver. DNC members are meeting 1 week from this Saturday, May 31, to consider the standing of the Florida and Michigan delegates. But 3 contests still remain after May 31, namely Puerto Rico on Sunday, June 1, then Montana and South Dakota 1 week from this coming Tuesday, June the 3rd.
Question. As noted, it's crunch time for Hillary. Both Florida and Michigan are crucial for her. With them, Hillary wins the popular vote. 48% Hillary, 47.5% Barack. Will that be persuasive to the superdelegates trying to figure out which candidate to back? I ask you.
I think it could have some draw on the remaining superdelegates. It also may be true that the Barack Obama ship has sailed. In other words, he's perceived among the supers to have all of this momentum. They don't want to be perceived as taking the nomination away from an African-American candidate. So the uphill battle for Hillary is still quite significant.
Okay, here's what Hillary says about the importance of the popular vote.
We believe the popular vote is the truest expression of your will. We believe it today, just as we believed it back in 2000, when right here in Florida, you learned the hard way. What happens when your votes aren't counted and the candidate with fewer votes is declared the winner?
Question. Do these words from Hillary mean that she will bring the fight all the way to the August convention in Denver? I ask you, Eleanor Cliff.
No, that's not going to be her option. The Rules Committee will meet, and the expectation is that they will divide the delegates in Michigan and Florida between the two candidates in such a way that they do not affect the outcome. And Hillary Clinton, by pushing it this far, is probably setting off a little backlash in the Rules Committee, which, after all, drafted the rules that are now in place. So the superdelegates are not sitting there waiting for her to achieve some measurement she has defined for herself. They're just being polite about not coming forward in a flood.
The superdelegates are not going to take this nomination away from Barack Obama, absent some general explosion. Hold it. She's going to win the popular vote. She's got a powerful argument to go in there, the Florida argument. I've got the people, he's got the delegates, but in the end, they're not going to take it from him. But it's a powerful argument to say, let us pull together and answer Eleanor's problem.
She doesn't count the states that.
But look, she's going to win the popular vote. What?
They're not going to send another George McGovern.
This isn't.
If you can win the delegate vote, that doesn't mean you win the popular vote. They're going to think popular vote.
Okay, Puerto Rico, take it away from her.
1 week from this Sunday.
In Puerto Rico, 55 pledged delegates are at stake. 1 million Puerto Ricans are expected to vote in the Democratic primary 1 week from this Sunday, June 1. Polls show Hillary leading with 50%, Barack 37%, unsure 13%. If Hillary does win 50% of the popular vote, she would gain about 28 delegates, which in combination with Florida and Michigan's delegates would give her a theoretical total of 1,929.5 delegates. That compares to Barack's theoretical 2,076.5 delegates. Still not enough for Hillary.
Exit question. Assuming Hillary wins Puerto Rico by 50% or better, that will give her a commanding popular vote lead. Since about 200 superdelegates have not yet to be announced, will the total delegate count at the time of the convention be enough to say now that Hillary is positioned to pull the rabbit out of the hat and win the nomination? Give me an estimate on a probability scale of 0 to 10.
0 meaning no likelihood of Hillary being able to pull this off. Oh, no, I would say about 3. I would say it's a 3 because, look, she's going to cream him in Puerto Rico, and she is trying to piece together an I told you so argument. She has been arguing since Super Tuesday that Barack Obama cannot win the big states, cannot win the swing states, cannot pull in those constituencies that we were talking about. If she wraps this thing up with a popular vote lead, she makes her final case to the supers. Look, you got to go with me. He cannot win. They nominate him anyway, and he loses in November. She's got a very powerful argument to say, I told you so.
But right now it's one.
I'm going around the circle here.
You look particularly at the swing state, the Ohio, for example. She does much better against McCain in Ohio, and he loses Ohio to her by a big margin. That's a key state. No election since.
What kind of a probability do you give Hillary of getting the nomination?
I give her about a 2.5. Unfortunately, the delegate count is not going to switch that much.
What do you think?
I give her a 2, John, but Mort is right. She can carry Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio. She's a fighter in Florida. She can fight in West Virginia and Kentucky and lose it.
I give it a 0.3. The polls are fluid. The latest polls in Ohio show Obama doing better against McCain. This election will be won on the strength of turnout and on independence. And if she were suddenly granted the nomination, the enthusiasm among African Americans and young people would be way down. That's where his strength is. That's the coalition of tomorrow, and he can win independence. She can't.
Unfortunately, you are all wrong. Hillary comes out with a 6. The tide has turned.
Wow.
When we come back, the pulse of America's economy. What is the diagnosis? Regular pulse or flat line?
As the world grows smaller, the ifs are now bigger than ever. If retirement savings can't keep pace with longer lives, if inflation sends the cost of employee benefits higher. For over 135 years, MetLife has provided insurance guarantees for life's many ifs. We have the experience, global resources, and vision to provide financial certainties for an uncertain world. No wonder more than 2/3 of the Fortune 500 choose us. After all, we are MetLife.
We've provided a platform for success for some of the most respected companies in the country. We fueled their growth with a highly educated workforce and a can-do, pro-business attitude. Just ask our newest business partner, Toyota. Visit Mississippi.org to see what we can do for you.
He volunteered.
We were drafted.
She enlisted.
And off we went to Asia.
To Europe.
The Gulf. To do our duty.
Serve our country. We were buddies.
Shipmates. Best of friends.
I'll never forget his courage.
Her dedication.
The way he made you laugh.
And I'll remember him.
Remember her.
I'll remember them.
Always.
Issue 2, macroeconomy.
Although the current financial and economic situation remains quite difficult, I believe that the most likely scenario over the next year or so is one in which economic activity firms during the second half of this year and gathers some strength in 2009.
Macroeconomic indicators. The Conference Board this week published the Index of Leading Economic Indicators. Collectively, the indicators increased by 0.1%, up. A second straight month of increase after declining the previous 5 months. Also, stock market. Stock prices were up in April and early May. This week has been a roller coaster. Monday, initial gains. Tuesday and Wednesday, sharp drops. Thursday, recovery. Unemployment rate, 5%, down 0.1% from March. Jobless claims, down 9,000. Consumer Price Index, the CPI, up 0.2%. New housing starts, up 8.2%. Industrial production, down 0.7%. Trade deficit down to $58 billion from $62 billion in February. Inflation rate, 3.9%, seasonally adjusted. Oil, $135 per barrel.
Question, based on these numbers, can we say that the recession has not yet arrived, and if it does come, it will be short and shallow, or will it be deep and long? I ask you, Mort.
Well, I think it will be long, and it may be shallow and long rather than deep and long. I do think this economy is not going to recover for at least a year and a half. I've been pessimistic about the economy, as you know, for a long time. The big part of what's going to happen in the real economy is not over yet, and it's going to bounce back and hit the financial world. The most important thing here that will be an indication we're coming out of the recession is when home prices begin to rise. When there is a market that is stabilized in home prices, we're nowhere near that. That is the biggest single asset on the balance sheet of the American consumer, and if they see the equity that they once thought they had in their homes dropping dramatically, they will cut back on consumer spending, and this recession, or whatever you want to call it, decline, will last for 18 months at least.
There is word on the street, particularly in New York, that you're especially worried about inflation. Is that true?
Well, of course I'm worried about inflation, but it's a secondary concern. The most important thing is to get this country out of a recession and out of the possibility that we may have a long-term and deep recession. So you take a chance by flooding the country with money, by having low interest rates, by having huge deficits, which we are experiencing. There will be another time to deal with inflation. At this point, you have another priority in terms of what the economic agenda is.
Should Bernanke raise the interest rates now?
Absolutely not. It would be a disaster for this country. We came this close to a systemic crisis in the financial world just a matter of 2 months ago. It would be a disaster for this country to do that.
You don't see a correlation between high inflation and low interest rates?
It all depends how long it continues and what the general circumstances are in which you have low interest rates. Right now we have an economy that's operating at subpar, and we have to make sure it doesn't continue to decline, and in particular to decline for a long time.
Pat, what do you think?
I think Mort's basically right. I think it's going to be a flat line, almost 0 to 1% growth for the next, I would say, 6 quarters.
The Democrats just won 2 seats in the Deep South, Mississippi and Louisiana. The Democrat and the Republican in both those races were pro-gun and pro-life. The issue that made the difference was the economy.
Right.
It is, look, I think I'm the only optimist on the economy on this panel. I'm not Mary Sunshine about it, but I'm not Debbie Downer about it either. Over the last couple of months, we've heard a lot of doomsday scenarios. They have not materialized. We've had serious problems, but when you look at those numbers, you see the housing market starting to ease, the credit crunch starting to lessen as well. A lot of indicators are ticking up, not significantly enough to make a huge difference, but at least they're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I think you're Mary Sunshine. Issue 3, beloved Ted.
My thoughts and my humble prayers are with Senator Kennedy, my dear friend Ted.
The news of Senator Ted Kennedy's cancerous brain tumor this week stunned the nation. The Lion of the Senate on Saturday suffered what first appeared to be a stroke. It turned out to be a double seizure caused by a cancerous brain tumor.
Sure you have your layers on.
Edward is the last of the brothers of President John F. Kennedy, who was assassinated, as was his brother, Attorney General Robert Kennedy. A third brother, Air Force Lieutenant Joseph P. Kennedy, Jr., died during World War II. Teddy has served as senator from Massachusetts for almost half a century, 46 years.
Question, will this country be the same without a Kennedy on the national scene if Senator Kennedy decides to retire? Pat Buchanan?
It's really the passing of an era, John. I came into journalism, wrote an editorial 1962. One of the first editorials was against Teddy Kennedy's election. He's been with us for 46 years. He's gone from the fighting liberal to the Senate liberal whom everybody loves. This will be an end of an era when he stands down.
Will Robert run? Will Joe run?
Well, if he does step down from his seat, he does have children and nieces and nephews. But look, he's a master legislator, and I heard Trent Lott, a Republican, say on Fox News that Ted Kennedy was the finest legislator in the Senate, the finest senator since World War II. That's pretty high praise coming from the opposition, and that is his gift. He has friends across the aisle and around the country. The name Kennedy is still so controversial, but in Washington he is really beloved.
The remarkable thing about him, the way he was able to balance his rooted liberal convictions and at the same time work deals were incredibly involved an incredible amount of adjusting to the other side and working it through.
No, that's true, and he's very well known for that. And I mean, starting with the Adamses in this country, we've seen a lot of family dynasties come and go, and the truth is that the Kennedys do have the next generation. They're represented well in Congress as well.
On behalf of the group, our warmest good wishes to Senator Kennedy and our continuing prayers for a speedy and complete recovery. We'll be right back.
We've provided a platform for success for some of the most respected companies in the country. We fueled their growth with a highly educated workforce and a can-do, pro-business attitude. Just ask our newest business partner, Toyota. Visit Mississippi.org to see what we can do for you.
If. For such a small word, it packs a wallop. If I live to 100, if Social Security isn't enough, if my heart gets broken, if she says yes. We believe IF should never hold you back. IF should be managed with coverage that builds on what you already have. Together, we can create a personal safety net, a launching pad for all those brilliant ifs in the middle of life. Call on our expertise and get guarantees for the if in life. After all, we're MetLife.
Predictions, Pat.
Hillary will force Obama to spurn her at the convention.
Eleanor.
Karl Rove's claim of executive privilege will not hold up in court if the Democrats have the spine to challenge it.
Monica.
Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert will be gone within 3 months, and the new Israeli Prime Minister would be Ehud Barak.
Mort. Is that true, by the way?
No, I don't think it will.
Okay.
Not the first
You
one.
just got back.
Yes. The one thing I will say is that the Iranians are going to stimulate all kinds of trouble in Iraq in October and September in order to undercut the value of the surge and hurt John McCain.
Another wave of home foreclosures during the third and fourth quarters this year, July through December. Discouraging. Blessed Memorial Day. Next week, the candidates and the Supreme Court. Bye-bye.